Rise and shine on Australia's Vision Christian Radio.
Andy is back here at Vision HQ.
And there was something big on last night, wasn't there, Phil?
It's a bit of this. Oh, dear.
The State of Origin Rugby League decider was on last night,
It's
Phil.
possible you're listening to the podcast because you didn't get up in time to listen to the show because you were so excited about the game.
It's possible.
It's possible. It wasn't us.
More than 1 million people across Australia watched the game last night.
I know. There was a lot of people tuning in to see Queensland romp at home.
Yes.
I act as if I know, but
And as if you care, because you don't.
Look, on the backside. I was teaching a class last night when it was on, so I have a reason not to watch it.
And no one in the class cared either, obviously.
No,
If
that's
they
right.
cared, they would have
That's
wagged.
right. But when I'd stopped, I was listening and I said to the kids, oh, you know what? We could be watching State of Origin. And our family, they're like, State of what? Like, no, there was no interest. And I wasn't going to put it on. But there you go.
Well, I put it on, Phil. I mean, I got a lift back from the airport from a friend and I was thinking, we could go and get something to say thank you. I was going to buy a bit of takeaway food. And I
that's
said,
nice.
But I thought, well, the game's on. The game's on.
You could have gone to a pub then and watched it with all of
No, because then
Queensland.
you're stuck there and it becomes a night out and I'm just like, no, I do need to go home.
Well, you do need to sleep.
have my
I'm
dinner
glad.
and have my beauty sleep.
I'm
So
glad
I
you
was
did.
willing and able to watch the whole game, Phil, but after half a game, I turned it off.
Well, to your credit, we've had Andy flying around the country, and it's hard yakka because you're doing late nights,
Yes.
and then early mornings,
Yes.
in a new studio. So probably poor Andy hasn't slept brilliantly.
It's an airborne version of Leyland Brothers, Phil, travelling all over the countryside in an aeroplane.
You have done very well. So
I'm back. Thank
I take
God
my
I'm
hat off
back.
to you.
Yes.
And Andy here literally is staring at me with a Vision hat on. So
You
he's
take
got
your
his
hat off and
on.
I put my hat on because that's code for I'm not going to comb my hair this morning because I'm too tired.
See, if you didn't listen to the podcast, you wouldn't know any of this.
We know now.
Well, now you know. You know everything that's happening in the background
Yep.
to bring you this show. Good morning. It is your Thursday. We're very thankful. It's Rise and Shine, and I've got Andy here at Vision HQ with me. Morning, Andy.
Morning, Phil. I'm thankful to be here too, Phil. I'm always thankful. I don't know about you. I
Yeah.
just don't feel natural when I'm in an aeroplane that high up in the sky. I'm always thankful when the plane lands.
Oh, but I thought you were a bit of this. I thought this was your, that's your natural space being up in the airplane, that maverick.
When Mav is flying the plane, he feels a bit safer, Phil. But when your life is in someone else's hands, it's always good to land that plane.
It is. I do agree with you, actually. I do agree, but I just wanted to put that out there. But look, it is a Thursday. There might be a few blurry eyes if you're in Queensland or New South Wales today because there was, just a small game that was on TV last night.
Well, it was the biggest game of rugby league. There you go. There you go.
That is the noise of some pretty happy Queenslanders.
Yeah.
Because they won the State of Origin.
They did win. As I was saying, Phil, that is the biggest game of rugby league this year worldwide. It is rugby league at its biggest, the State of Origin.
And maybe it's best. We don't know. Andy and I didn't watch it because we went to bed early. But we've got for you some people who did. Our question today really is, what would you stay up for? Obviously that's not you and me. We wouldn't stay up for that.
Well, hang on, let me clarify. I did watch the first half.
Oh, you did? You didn't
And
tell
it was
me that.
so hopeless because I'm from New South Wales. I went to bed. I thought
you
these
gave
guys
up.
have disappointed the state again. I'm going to bed. I'm not
no.
staying up for another 40 minutes to watch this.
Okay, so on the flip side, if New South Wales were doing better, you would have stayed up?
If it was a closer game, yeah. I just like close games.
You like winning?
Yeah, no, I don't really care, to be honest. I've realised now, like these young guys, I'm not going to put my emotion, hopes or expectations in.
Well,
They're all just
because
a bunch
it's
of
New
young
South
guys.
Wales and you like
sometimes they crumble under pressure. Sometimes they just can't perform on the night. And so I'm watching it going, I don't like watching one-sided games. I'm going to bed.
Oh, well, there you go. Oh, well, the call is out. If you're listening to us right now and you did stay up, or what would you stay up for? Like,
Yes.
is there something that would be good enough? It won't keep me up this, but I will let you know what I'll stay up for.
Thanks for streaming the Rise and Shine Daily podcast. Please subscribe to the show, rate it on your favourite podcast platform, and share the link on your socials. It all helps get the word out.
Brought to you by this. Some big news.
If you haven't heard the news.
If you haven't heard the news, this happened last night.
Double punch, Dummies goes himself, scores. The Queenslanders are going to win the State of Origin.
That's right. There was a little football game. It's a bit of a series, and Queensland came home with the win. And we've got someone, Andy and I, you did watch some of it, Andy.
I watched the first half until I just went to bed thinking, this is a joke. This is not a game.
He's New South Wales, so you can understand Team New South Wales. But I do have someone here that's come in this morning, full Queensland mode, full maroon, Pastor Matt Prater.
Good morning, guys. Yeah, I've got my my special, Maroons hoodie on today. And last time I wore this, Robbo was also wearing it. We were twinning. Yeah,
yes, I took a photo of it. Yeah.
So that was a bit of fun.
Today's probably the day. Everyone will be wearing it.
Yeah. So it was good to be able to watch the game last night. My wife and my daughter were very vocal last night. They're very passionate Queenslanders.
They're Queenslanders?
Yes,
Were you Team New South Wales last time I saw you?
No. I was born in New South Wales.
Okay,
Oh, there you go.
But when I moved up here,
Are you allowed to change?
Carol's family wouldn't accept me
Serious?
unless I converted to Queensland.
Oh.
So it was part of the deal.
So was there a ceremony?
Yeah. So I prayed the Maroons prayer.
How did that go?
Asked for forgiveness for the blues of my life. And maroon is like the blood of Jesus to me. It's a new colour. It's the gospel. So that's how I justify it in my mind. Anyway, my family's not too happy about it, but anyway.
But you did watch the game last night.
Yeah, we had a good win. I was very happy.
Take us through it.
Yeah. Well, Cameron Munster, his father passed away, and
amazing.
I think one of the comments from one of the commentators, he said, Queensland did it for their skipper.
Yes.
And they played as a team, whereas the Blues played as a bunch of individuals.
Yep.
And, if you know anything about the psychology of sports, it's all about the spirit. It's all about the team. It's all about, let's be all in.
Yep.
And their defence was incredible. The Blues just couldn't get through. So, yeah, it was a great game for Queensland.
Yeah, and look, even though it is New South Wales, Queensland, quite a few people in Victoria do watch the game as well. I think 300,000 people watched it last night in Victoria, even though Victoria's an AFL state. So it is almost a national game in Australia. It's interesting, but you're right, Maddie. As a New South Welshman, see, I can't be a turncoat. I was born in New South Wales. I'm going to die a New South Welshman. I can't be a turncoat. But Queensland have just got this great team spirit, and they always pull together. There you go. And there's a lot of chess champions in that team as well. You can tell by that, the vocabulary they use there, the breadth and the scope of the word choice. Yeah, amazing.
There's a sore loser over here, I think.
It does sound like it, doesn't it?
But, I got to be honest with you. I love the team spirit in Queensland. I'm glad my kids are Queenslanders because they just love their state. They just play with passion, and you can never underestimate Queensland. And they proved it again last night. New South Wales were the favourites, Matty, but Queensland whooped them. It wasn't even close.
No, that's right. It was an inspiring game. And, I really think Cameron Munster showed courage.
Yeah.
And basically he did it for his dad because his dad would have wanted him to play, And I think that emotional support that his team gave him, I actually think that's why they won. My daughter, who loves the Blues, she was actually at the game.
Okay.
And she rang me. She goes, Dad, I think Queensland's going to win, because they're going to do it for their skipper, and she nailed it. Exactly right. Yeah.
I love at the end of the game that players from both teams came together in order to give him, to each give him a hug.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just, the colours actually disappeared at the end of the game, and everyone was hugging him, and he was so emotional. Here's a little bit of this happening, a video of what was happening.
Cam Munster, been a tough 3 or 4 days for him and his family. Being able to put all that aside, such tragic circumstances. You see Dylan Edwards there just going up to console him.
So you've got the Blues consoling him.
It's great to see. Yeah. They battled it out for 80 minutes, but at the end of the day, we're all mates.
And I think that's really it. We battle it out for the 80 minutes, but everyone's mates there on the field at the end.
Yeah, and there was a good quote that Cameron Munster said when he did his speech. He said, family is more important than anything. Wow. And there was also another great interview with the big fella for Queensland that was flown in at the last minute. I can't remember his name, big Islander boy.
Oh, yeah, the big forward, yeah.
And he said, I'm all about faith, family and football.
Yeah.
Oh.
And he said, God bless, in his interview. And I thought, well, he's obviously a believer, so praise God, because there are a lot of those guys are believers too. So, and you often see them praying after games. So, good to see we need some good Christian role models in rugby league
100%.
because there are a few that aren't good role models too.
And look, and here are the numbers. So there was more than 1 million people watching it on TV last night, Australia-wide. That's pretty big.
Yeah,
That's pretty big.
Our household wasn't. So, if we'd watched 1,000,001.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Now, guys, I do have to go, but quick plug for my weekend shift.
Yeah.
I've got a snippet of an interview with Pastor Rick Warren.
Oh,
yeah.
very
I got
good.
to interview him yesterday.
How was he?
At the Baptist World Congress.
That's right, author of the Purpose-Driven Life.
Yes.
And I did a 33-minute interview with him.
Wow.
But I've just got a couple of snippets I'm going to share this weekend. I've got to do a bit of editing, but so listen out for that. His whole goal right now is finishing the task, preaching the gospel to the whole world by 2033.
Wow.
And he's having evangelism roundtables all around the world. And I'm a part of one this Friday and Saturday, actually, where we're going to be meeting with church leaders to strategise to reach Australia with the gospel.
Oh,
so,
my goodness.
vision's obviously a big part of that, yeah.
So exciting.
So, listen out for that this weekend.
Rise and shine on Vision Christian Radio.
We got an email from our program director.
Yes.
I got one from him at midnight.
Yes.
Because he was so excited. That's Robbo. He was so excited about the outcome of the game of football, the State of Origin that was played. He couldn't go to sleep.
He couldn't sleep.
He
He
couldn't
was so
sleep.
excited. I've texted him this morning and he is zonked. So, so it made us think, didn't it, Phil? What would you stay up all night for? Robbo stayed up all night for the Origin and he wouldn't go to bed. He was so excited.
He was so excited. It doesn't. Andy went to bed after the first half because his team was losing. So kudos to Andy there.
It wasn't just that they were losing, Phil. It was the way they were losing. They were losing bad, you know.
And I didn't even start to watch it. So there's for me. But the question is out there, what would you stay up for? What is it that you would be like, nah, that's it. I'm willing to stay up. It's that exciting. 1-800-316-316. I've got Warren standing by. Warren, what would you stay up for?
I think the best is actually be lunar eclipse or meteor showers.
Oh, now look,
There
that
you
is
go.
a good answer. I agree, Warren. I would stay up for that. Not till like 2 a.m. or something. Would you stay up all night for that?
Oh yes.
You would.
If I know I didn't have to work, yes I would.
If you didn't have to work.
Well, when was the last time there was one of those events, Warren?
That's a good. I think there's a lunar eclipse a couple of years ago.
Did you stay up for that?
Yes.
Oh, well
there you
done.
go.
And was it worth it?
Oh, it's always worth it.
Okay.
I particularly like them when they're at a good time of the day. Like there was at one point a comet that was coming across Queensland. And I remember we went up to Mount Tamborine and it was there for a week, so you had plenty of scope. But also it was about 7 to 8 p.m. And I thought, what a convenient comet.
That's doable.
Like, that's a great time.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Comet.
Yeah, it was. We took some dinner up there. It was very civilised, other than it wasn't Haley's. It was a little bit, I can't remember what it was. But it was, the kids were small, but we just bundled them up and I was like, this is a very convenient time. Well done, space.
And so what was the highlight for you staying up all night to watch that event a couple of years ago?
Able to spend time with the family as well.
Oh, so you all stayed up?
Oh, we all stayed up.
Oh, that's cool.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
Oh, well, lovely.
Some under protest, but once it actually started happening, they stayed awake.
They stayed up. There you go. Well, Warren, thank you so much for giving us a buzz. And you've inspired me. Maybe next time we'll do Rise and Shine from a comet. If there's a comet or no, I don't think I'm going to stay up. Let's be honest. Thanks, Warren.
No worries, guys. God bless.
Thank you, Warren. Well, there you go. A comet, that might get you up and out of bed.
Well, it's pretty exciting, isn't it?
It is. And you can't miss it like that. You can't choose the time for that.
No, and they don't happen every day either, do they?
No, they don't. My family, I reckon the kids would be staying up if they could for the Formula One. So Belle loves the Formula One and we all sort of watch along. And she would if she was allowed. I think, thankfully, because of technology, she can just pretend it happened at a convenient time and watch it the next day. But definitely she would stay up for that.
So I find that really interesting that a young girl likes the Formula One. I'm sure it's really common these days too.
It is.
That sport has done really well, haven't they, to become and stay really big worldwide and have big audiences around the world.
They really I mean, the thing that got Bella into it was there's a documentary called Drive to Survive.
Oh, yeah.
And so during COVID, actually, we'd run out of shows. You know, you were just watching everything because you were stuck at home. Murray put it on, and I remember us all complaining, including Bella.
Yeah.
Oh, we really want to watch motorsport. And then as it got through, because it was on the TV, you get sucked into it. It's actually quite compelling. They tell the stories of the teams, and they have good guys and guys that you kind of rallying for, and the stories behind it. And as you got to know their lives, obviously in a TV, they're showing bits that you want to see and whatever. But it actually makes you interested in the sport, and then you know who you're going for, and then actually the races become quite exciting.
Well, I haven't seen Greta Thunberg in the audience so far. She's not a big fan, is she? All that carbon dioxide getting spewed out the back of the cars.
No, that's probably true. I'm not sure it's the most environmentally friendly sport.
Well, it is ironic, isn't it? Everyone's talking about climate change, except when the Formula One's on. No, we've got to watch that. Don't get rid of that.
It is very exciting. And there are lots of girls watching it. And Belle's gone. We've actually, as a family, gone to the races when they've been here in Oz. And it's exciting. It's actually great to see men and women taking part. And now that there's promotional tracks just for girls wanting to get into and start driving.
Oh,
so
really?
There's a real push to see a Formula One female driver.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, but it takes a bit of time because obviously you've got to start with those young kids in karting.
Yeah.
So you need to build that culture that then trains them up. So we might not see it for a few years, but they're starting to create pathways specifically to encourage women in the sport, which is exciting.
I would like to see a woman's only F1 series. Wouldn't that be good?
How cool would that be?
It's so good.
Yeah. Well, there you go. There's
no jokes about women drivers either, Phil. I just want to watch for the pure sport of it.
It would be great.
It'd be awesome.
It would be cool. But yeah, and look, there you go. I would stay up. If there was an all women's race in F1, I would stay up to see that.
Do you think that these young girls, Phil, it makes them more susceptible to some young guy driving fast to impress the girls? Is there a link there? I hope not.
I hope not. We haven't got to that stage.
Because I'm not a big fan of boy races. The boy races, the P players, the young guys driving crazily.
No.
Yeah, because I'm no boy racer, Phil. I'm cool,
Are
calculated.
You?
Yeah, I've never had a crash. I mean, all jokes aside, I am a safe
you
driver.
are a good driver. Good.
But those young guys, they call them boy racers, and they're not safe, and they drive way too fast, and they think they're a Formula One driver, but they're actually not.
Oh, it's terrible.
So I hope young girls aren't susceptible to those guys to sort of go for a drive with them and, go to the movies or something.
You kind of get the feeling that the F1 drivers are very good drivers. Of
course they are.
So hopefully that's what you're getting out of it. But
Wait a minute. Are you telling me Vision's breakfast show is now available around the clock and on demand? Incredible! The Rise and Shine podcast. Rise and Shine.
Are you ready for a challenge? Listen to the mystery sound, correctly name the Bible story, and win a great prize. Sounds easy, but is it? Rise and Shine's Bible Story Sound Off.
that's right. So we have an incredible piece of technology here at Vision. It's a time machine.
It's remarkable, Phil.
It is remarkable, and it can whiz us back in time. It's very specific, though. It only goes to Bible stories.
Yes. How does it do that?
I don't know.
So clever.
Don't question the technology. Just trust in it.
Is it the tech team that can take credit for that?
I think so.
The IT team?
Certainly. Let's give them the credit. They've got us this incredible. You think that, if you had access to that machine and you could go anywhere, I mean, just imagine.
I'd want to go to the Battle of Marathon. Just quietly.
I'm sorry?
I'd like to see the Battle of Marathon.
I don't even know what that is.
Live.
Was that when they were running really fast?
Well, no, that was when the Persians tried to invade Greece.
Okay.
And the Athenians met them on the beaches there and defeated them, and they were outnumbered. And one of the Athenians was sent to run to Sparta, go tell the Spartans that we've defeated the Persians. And he ran 42 miles or whatever, or 42 kilometres, or how many miles a marathon is. I don't know. Robbo knows. And he ran that distance, and he told them that we've just defeated the Persians, and then he dropped dead. Euripides. I think his name is Euripides. And that's where the marathon race comes from in the Olympics. That's the link.
That's quite inspiring.
It'd be good to see that battle.
Because they were just to see him running.
They were like Queensland. They were underdogs. They were outnumbered.
Oh, a bit of this.
Yeah, they were probably saying, Athenians! Because, the Persians at that time were the bullies, Phil. They were the massive big army, and they'd invaded so many nation states and city-states. They'd taken over most of the world, and they wanted Greece as well. And they came with overwhelming numbers, and they were trying to bully the Greeks, and the little Greeks stood up to them and defeated them. I mean, it's a pivotal point in human history.
What?
And that's where the marathon race comes from in the Olympics.
Amazing. Well, now I don't even feel like playing the game. I just feel like we've covered history
Let's
here.
just talk history, yeah. That's why I want the machine
Fantastic.
to land. Time machine, can you please take me? It's like Siri. Siri, take me to the Battle of the Marathon. I want to watch
like
the Greeks
Siri
win.
sometimes says, I can't do that. I can't do that, Andy, but I can bring you this sound from Bible history. So
anyway, we digress, Phil. Let's fly that machine again.
Well, we won't fly the machine now. I've pulled out the sound.
Okay.
We've already done it. But here you go. Here is the sound that we're trying to match to a Bible story. That could be from that battle. That
Could be.
Here you go. Here, well, let's have a listen. It's not from the
They
Bible.
don't sound very Greek, though, do they?
No, they're not sounding very Greek. But the question is, what Bible story do you think that sounds like it could fit within? 1-800-316-316 is the number to call. We have had some wrong guesses.
Yes, when Jesus rides a donkey into Jerusalem.
The Egyptians when the Red Sea closed on them.
I think it's probably the Palm Sunday when Jesus was actually walking to Jerusalem.
I think it's a story when Jesus says, "Let the children come to me."
They're all wrong, but they were excellent.
They're all great answers,
Excellent
aren't they?
answers.
The Rise and Shine podcast.
I think we've got here Dean. Dean, you're on the line. What are you thinking?
It's when the Israelites were surrounding Jericho and they gave a great shout and the wall came down.
Ooh.
Wouldn't you have loved to be there, Dean?
Yeah, that'd be excellent.
Yeah, because they was quiet. I reckon the hardest part of that story is getting people to be quiet every day for those first few days, those first 6 days before they were allowed to shout. I've tried to keep just like 3 or 4 kids quiet and I can't do that.
There would have been a lot of pent-up energy, though, wouldn't there? They would have been just waiting for that time when we can actually yell.
Brilliant. Okay, it's a very good guess. It's not the right one, but
Excellent.
wonderful. Thank you, Dean.
No worries. Bye.
See ya.
Bye. Tessa, good morning.
Oh, hi. I just wondered if it was the sound when they wanted to crucify Jesus and they were yelling.
Yes. What an emotional time that would be. That would be a very good pick for the sound. It's not this time, but brilliant.
guess.
Well done. Thanks, Tessa.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Adam, what do you think it might be?
How are you, Andy and Phil?
Yep, very good.
Mate. How are you?
I'm thinking it's Palm Sunday.
Oh, yes. Everyone coming in.
And there's lots of cheering.
It does sound a lot like that. It's not on this occasion, but that could certainly be it. Thank you,
well.
Adam.
That's all right.
Oh, there you go. The sound gets to live for another day, Andy.
But as always, Phil, the answers are really good. So,
They are brilliant.
I kind of enjoy the answers as much as the whole game, just listening
I
to people's,
totally do.
you know, how they sort of take these guesses, but they're just so biblical.
Well, because it takes you actually into that moment and you can put the sound in. Like I'm thinking going around Jericho and how cool that would have been, just the sound of trampling feet. And they went around once a day for those first 6 days and then 7. And they were still quiet for that 6 times round on the 7th day.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it would have been incredible.
Yeah. And you're right. And that answer made me think about the story too. I thought, that's pretty incredible, isn't it? They just shouted by faith and these physical walls came down. It's my mind went there, Phil. I've got to be honest with you.
It's cool. And because they didn't know the end of the story. Like sometimes when we're reading the Bible, you can be tempted to forget that. Like you can think, they knew that God. Well, no, they were just like you and I. They're just people. In fact, they didn't have the Holy Spirit on the inside.
No.
They didn't have the Bible like we have it to read. So we've got all the advantages. We actually do know the ultimate end of the story.
Yeah.
And yet there they stood by faith shouting at these walls and they came down.
Yeah, incredible, isn't it?
It is incredible.
We're caffeinated and ready to face the day. This is Rise and Shine on Vision.
Good to be back, Phil.
Wonderful. After you've been on your travels
Yep.
for the first hymn tour, the launches across the nation. Last night was Adelaide, and our Greg went along. Greg from Afternoons.
We'll be checking in with him during the show.
They believe there was a little bit of something that happened on the way to the airport for him, so we will need to check in and check it all went okay.
But the movie is doing really well, the documentary. It's being really well received by every audience I've seen. I've seen it now in Brisbane, Canberra and Melbourne. So it's going to be Adelaide, then it's going to go to Perth, it's going Darwin and Hobart. We'll be in the Hobart premiere as well, Phil.
Getting excited about that. But we have got a chat with Ben Fielding, who is really is one of those guys who's written so many songs, but he's probably quite unknown because he writes them for others to sing. So, but songs like these are Ben's. You might know that one. Or maybe you know this one. There's some huge stadium hymns.
Yeah.
And here's one more.
Yes.
Ben Fielding is the man behind those songs, and you got to chat with his guitar teacher and also his dad. So we'll be bringing those chats to you later on this hour. But I also wanted to do the weather from somewhere that might be waking up, maybe a bit sad and sorry this morning because of a certain game of football. So Sydney, I want to do the weather for you this morning. It's 13 degrees, heading to 17 degrees. It's a bit windy this morning. So if you're waking up and you're like, we lost the state of origin, but gee, we live in a great city, and you've got DAB, digital radio vision, loud and clear across the Sydney region. So a big good morning to you all, even if you've been up all night watching the footy. God is good.
Yes, God is good. That's right. I mean, I think a lot of people in Sydney don't even really care that much about
You don't
the origin.
reckon?
Some do, but some don't. It's
No,
not like
fair
the
enough.
whole city's captivated by it. Like, that's what I love about Melbourne. Like, everyone in Melbourne seems to love the AFL, don't they?
They do.
It's the sport of Melbourne. Whereas Sydney's very diverse. There's lots of soccer. There's rugby union. There's rugby league. So it is a very diverse city. But anyway, we digress again, Phil. Here's a Bible verse. James chapter 1, verse 19. So then, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger. Words to live by there, Phil. But you know what I like about that verse? It starts out with, so then my beloved brethren. In other words, God loves you guys, but hey, why don't you just listen a little bit more? It's a nice, encouraging word, isn't it?
It is very nice, isn't it? Beloved. That's who you are by God. He's beloved you so much he sent a son to die for you.
And so much that he wants you to listen more.
That's right. As parents,
Talk
I can
less, listen
certainly
more.
understand that. Oh, dear. But coming up next, we're going to dive into the book of Ruth. It's a very quick book, but we're going to just cover, we'll go back to Ruth chapter 1. We didn't quite finish it yesterday. Keep going with this story.
We got up to verse 2, didn't
Of
we?
this incredible, chapter 1.
There's a lot of background to discuss, though,
There
Phil.
was.
It's a very important background.
There was. We'll be diving in there.
It's the daily podcast of your favourite Aussie breakfast show, Rise and Shine. Rise and Shine.
Andy, every morning around this time, we take just a couple of minutes to dig into the Word of God together.
A little Bible study, Phil, and we are in the book of Ruth. And yesterday we endeavoured to do chapter 1, but we didn't get through the whole chapter, did we, Phil? There was so much good stuff to read from that chapter.
Well, look, and the reason we're looking at Ruth is it's very quick. Normally we would do a chapter a day, and it's only 4 chapters.
Yes.
So we'll be done in no time. But it's the story of God coming through in what looked like a devastating situation for this woman, Naomi. And we met Naomi yesterday. She and her husband
And
had
2 sons.
And 2 sons. They had gone to Moab. So they'd left God's promised land and they'd travelled away because they felt that maybe they'd get some better opportunities. They had felt that that would be a good place for them to be during a famine.
Well, there was a famine, yeah. And so really what they left, Phil, was the support systems and the structures and the resources that God had given them physically. They left all that. And today we can leave our spiritual structures and support systems, can't we? We can leave the Word of God. We can leave our prayer life. Yeah. We can leave our relationships that God, I believe, connects us to people, especially when we're new believers. And those, like the guy that led me to the Lord is still one of my best friends.
That's so good.
We still serve together, hang together. And I just know God brought us together. And those are the things God gives us spiritually in the New Testament times, Phil. So we can learn a lot from this story that we've got to be careful we don't wander from the place that God has put us.
Actually, that's brilliant. We could just stop there. And
Well,
that would
let's
be
stop right
actually,
there.
can I do that's enough.
Let's
No.
go to drive-through Macca's and get a coffee. I'm done.
on the other side, Andy would never have Macca's coffee. But here we are, and we've got this woman, this lovely lady, Naomi. She is heartbroken. In fact, she calls herself bitter later on down the track. So you can see that she is, and she's bitter at who? At God. She at this point is blaming God and she says, God, my husband's died, my 2 sons have died. But you know what? In this story already, she's been woven together with these 2 young ladies. They had married her sons, Orpah and Ruth, who this book is named after.
And you can imagine, Phil, I do anyway, they were both beautiful women. They
I
both
do
would
in
have
my
looked
head.
stunning, amazing looking, but one had this incredible character and this loyalty and this faithfulness, and one didn't. Who's the good one, Phil, and who's the okay one? Talk us through it.
Well, let's guess the name of this book. But we see that in action because they come to a point where finally Naomi says, you know what, I've actually heard I should go home. There's a point at which those relationships, that infrastructure which Andy's talked about, I need to go back to that. I'm going to go back to it. And what a great decision she makes. So she turns and she's about to go and they go off on the road together. She gets to the turn where they have to make a decision to stay or to leave. And she says to the girls, you know what, the better thing for you would be just to go back home.
Yeah.
I'm not going to force you to come with me. I'm not going to make you come with me. Go back home, remarry, live your lives. You can have kids and you can grow old here with your own families. That was very honourable of her to say that and to release them.
Well, and she knew. I mean, she's an Israelite. And, you know, we know what the Old Testament said about marrying foreign women. Like, she's just thinking, well, if these girls come back with me to Israel, no Jewish man's going to want to marry these girls. They're widows. They're Moabites. They're not, believers. So she was trying to protect them, wasn't she? But in the midst of that, a hero arises, Phil.
Oh, it does. And so they're breaking down and weeping. Both of the girls are saying, we want to go with you to your people. And Naomi says, nah, Don't do it. You need to go. You need to get married because and it says here, things are far more bitter for me than for you. That's Naomi's words because the Lord himself has raised his fist against me. You see there that she's blaming God. You know, sometimes we're blaming God for things that were not God's fault. And certainly this is one of those. But I do love this response. So Ruth, she's clinging tightly to Naomi and she says here, look, Naomi said to her, your sister-in-law has gone back. So Orpah has said, yep, bye. They cry, they leave. But Ruth says, don't ask me to leave you and turn back. Wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you live, I will live. Your people will be my people and your God will be my God. Wherever you die, I will die and there I will be buried.
Yeah.
Beautiful words, just saying, no, I am with you. And you can actually see here, God had provided for Naomi already, this wonderful Ruth, who we're going to see is such a pivotal part, of course, so this is named after her story. She's already there in the picture.
Yeah.
God's provided that provision for Naomi right back there. She just hasn't recognized it yet.
Yeah, and Ruth's greatest qualities are loyalty and faithfulness and commitment. And she's just dedicated. And she doesn't even know what she's dedicated to. She's like, your God will be my God. I don't even think she fully understood God, but she's just loyal and faithful to this older woman who she could have disregarded. And it's such an incredible quality, it's an inner quality that Ruth had.
It's incredible. And we're going to see that play out as we head through the story of Ruth in the next few days. Because her ability just to be faithful and humble and to stay the course, even when she's been given instructions and she doesn't know why, an incredible example for us. And so they do. They come home in the end of Ruth 1. They end up in Bethlehem, which was their hometown, and everyone's excited. I love that. She's welcomed back with open arms. Everyone's excited. But here she says, this is Naomi says, don't call me Naomi. She responds to them, call me Mara. Because the Almighty has made my life very bitter. And the word Mara there means bitter. But actually, we know it wasn't God. There were lots of circumstances that had happened that weren't God's, possibly even the best for her, but he provided anyway.
Yeah, she assumed that they could go to Moab and it'd all be good, you know, and Christians can do that today as well. 100%. We can just assume that, I can start a relationship with a non-Christian because he's so nice or she's so nice and, they're open to God. We can justify these things, but at the end of the day, God said, that's one example, don't, marry an unbeliever if you're a Christian. And I've seen Christians do this and they start these relationships and then it ends badly like, where was God in that? Well, God was in his word who said originally, don't do that sort of stuff. And that's what Naomi and her family did. They wandered from God's plan.
But it is exciting to know that even in the midst of that, God already had a solution, ready to go. We see Ruth has been raised up for such a time as this, and we're going to see an incredible turnaround in that situation. She won't be bitter for long. So that's my promise. Ooh. We're in the book of Ruth.
Can't wait for that one.
Ruth 2 tomorrow.
I'll tell you what, she deserves a high five in heaven. I can't wait to meet
100%.
Ruth. What a beautiful woman. What an amazing human being.
You found the podcast of Vision's breakfast show, Rise and Shine. Rise and Shine.
It made us think this morning, hey, what would you stay up for? You went to sleep at halftime because your team, the Blues, were losing.
It wasn't just that they were losing. Really? I don't mind someone losing. It's the way you lose. You're on your home ground. You're the favourites. You're some of the highest paid rugby league players in the world, and they just couldn't bring it, Fel. I just don't like watching people not bringing it. They were bringing it. They were bringing it. The Queenslanders played so well.
There you go. Well, they were playing for their skipper, because they're obviously Cameron Munster, Captain Cameron Munster. His father had passed away, so actually there's a huge story there about just mateship, working together, and it goes beyond football. Really, that they were just so working together for the captain, but actually both teams at the end congratulating and just being there for him. So there's a lot of beautiful moments last night. I wasn't awake for them, but we have them call out. What would you stay up late for? 1-800-316-316. Natalie, you've answered the call this morning. I think you've got some grandkids with you today?
Yes, and I've had the various add-ons so the cousins can all play.
Oh, now look, we're talking today, Natalie, about what you'd stay up for. Have the kids been keeping you up all night?
No, because their father's here overnight because he's working in Brisbane during the day, so he's had night duties.
Oh, now well done.
That's good.
Because actually, Andy, that's one thing that did keep me up. Maybe that's why I like my sleep now.
Kids.
Staying up all night with little ones. Do you remember that, Natalie?
Oh, I do. I do, and I don't miss it.
No, that's the one thing. I remember I'd get to the end of the night And because we'd have 3 under 5 at one point, so there would always be someone awake.
Yeah.
And Murray would get up in the morning. He's the deepest sleeper I've ever met. And he would go, "Oh, what a great night."
I've had that. Didn't we have a good night, did we?
Did we have a good night there, young Murray? And it was the one thing you should never, like, that's a hint for young players, never say that to a mum who's got young kids, because the chances are she hasn't slept a wink. Is that right, Natalie?
Yes.
It's like years of being a zombie, isn't it? I remember lying in my son's room, he had a cot and he wouldn't sleep, and I just lie on the floor there and he'd get up and he'd stand in his cot and try and wake us all up, and I'd just say, shh. He'd look at me and he'd go back to sleep, and you just do that like every hour or two. And you had years of that stuff.
Oh, well, I needed you.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what I needed. I needed to hire someone to do that for me. Just shh, go back to sleep.
Yeah, it's
dear.
full on. That was just one of the 3 kids. Yeah, these kids, they love to stay up all night, don't they, and party on.
Oh, well, Natalie, have fun with the grandkids today. Thanks for giving us a buzz.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Now, there you go. Natalie reminded me that's what I would stay up all night for. A newborn baby.
Well, you don't have any choice, do you?
No, you don't.
Do you remember, Fel? I remember when our firstborn was born and you'd put her in the cot at night there, and I used to think, is she like going to be alive in the morning? Like, it's just this little vulnerable little baby sleeping in the cot.
Yeah.
And I used to sort of want to get up and just check on her and just, it was also new. Well, when it's a newborn, you don't know what's going on. You're a new parent. And it was just like, wow, this little human being in there.
Yeah.
And are they going to be okay in the morning? And you're just fussing over them. And it is a magical time. I mean, if you've not yet had kids and you're wondering, should I, shouldn't I, you'll never regret it, will you, Phil? Having kids is one of the greatest things you'll ever do.
It's wonderful. And the difference, really, the first child, that's you. By the third child, you're wrapping them, you're throwing them in that crib,
That's right.
and you're closing the door.
You're sending them down to the shops by the age of 3. Go and get them milk and bread for me, okay? And bring back the change, yeah.
Oh, dear. Sorry, Millie, she's my third child.
Well, I mean, you meet parents who've got like 5, 6, 7 kids, and they're just like so blasé about stuff, aren't they?
Well, by the time
they'll be good, yeah.
You haven't slept for that many years. At some point, you've got to get to sleep.
Well, my mum was one of 8, Phil, and we're digressing again, but she used to say that they used to have a bath about once a week, and the exact words were, if we needed one.
Yeah, that's right.
Always encouraging and always fun. Rise and shine on Vision.
Andy, we've had a pop-in this morning.
We have Des Kennedy from Momentum Mem pop in, and he lives in New South Wales. Des, welcome to Rise and Shine.
That's great to be here. That's fantastic. I love the sound effects.
And as a New South Welshman, Des, were you glued to the TV screen last night watching the State of Origin game?
No, not at all. I'm not a rugby league fan. I mean, I like rugby union. I don't even understand, after being here 40 years, the AFL thing. I don't get it.
Don't get it.
It's like kids' football. Somebody kicks the ball and they all run after it, and then he kicks it and they all run after it. It's like,
I think you have to go
bother?
with someone who knows what they're doing. I go with Murray because I didn't grow up with AFL.
Right.
And when I go to the game and he's explained it and you see it live, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, this is. I mean, I still don't love it, but I can. It's not so bad.
Yeah.
But it's funny, like, as a former Irishman, I don't know if you still call yourself Irish or not, but Gaelic football.
Excuse
are
me.
you former or
do
current?
I still call myself Irish?
Well, you're from Ireland. You're from Ireland. So Gaelic football is what AFL's based on. So there is a bit of a connection there to Ireland with the AFL. Yeah, and sometimes they play this sort of hybrid version of both games against each other.
Yeah. No, I didn't watch that either.
Obviously.
Okay. Well, the question then is, what would you stay up all night for? Like, what would keep you up? Not the football.
No, certainly not football. No, I mean, I would stay up to watch a Liverpool game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's one thing I would stay up for. And I stay up to watch like yacht racing or something really exciting like that. I'm not into motorsport so much, unless I'm driving. But, yachting would keep me up.
Because like the America's Cup is always normally run at the other side of our day.
Yes.
And so it's often, I've heard of people staying up all night for that.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's exciting racing, if you're into yacht racing. I know we were talking just before we came on air about the fact that people think sitting in a boat and going through the water is boring, but when you're on a boat and it's leading into the wind and it's just crashing through the waves, there's nothing more exciting than that. It's totally an adrenaline rush.
Is it?
Yeah, totally.
Being carried by the wind too. It's an incredible. It's like surfing. Surfing is the same thing.
Yeah.
You're getting carried by this wave, and on a boat, I love sailing as well, Des. And you're just feeling that wind pushing you along. It's so nice.
Totally. Yeah.
So have you been involved with the America's Cup in the past?
Only as a guest.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that was cool. So whenever I lived in New Zealand,
In the Kiwi Cuzzy Bros?
Yes, that's right. I lived in Auckland, and Telstra Telecom New Zealand were the major sponsors of the America's Cup, and because I was one of the biggest users of Telecom New Zealand, I got invited onto the starter boat, and that was
the starter boat.
Oh, nice!
Yeah, that was really cool.
Wow!
Because you can drink champagne and stuff while you're watching this racing.
Well, because New
Really
Zealand,
cool.
I've got some here. This is one of the occasions that New Zealand has won the America's Cup.
Yeah.
I wonder if this is one you were at.
And Emirates Team New Zealand win the Louis Vuitton 37th America's Cup.
Yeah.
2, 1. Beautiful, boys.
I just love that at the end of that, they just go, beautiful boys.
Beautiful
Like,
boys.
it's so Kiwi.
Very
the way-
understated, low key.
The Kiwis.
But Des, do they fire an actual pistol to start the
Yeah.
race?
Oh,
Is that?
yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, same with the Sydney to Hobart. Exactly the same. I mean, Sydney to Hobart, it's a real spectacle because you got 4 or 5 levels of boats all lined up. And so the super maxes go up first, and then the maxi yachts and so forth.
Really?
And then little small dinghy things go out last, because they're slow compared to the big boats, right? And so, I mean, that's exciting when they're going through the harbour and, out through the heads. And
There's so many boats there too. It creates a real wash. I've actually been there in a 2-man inflatable dinghy with 3 of us in there. It was actually quite dangerous. There's a whole story there. But we were out there
so
just
dangerous.
where the race was, outside the heads.
Really?
Oh, we were in we just were joking around. So we started paddling in this little 2-man dinghy, the 3 of us with our legs out from Little Manly. And then this boat came along. We're like, oh, give us a tow. And he's like, no worries. He threw us a rope. So he's towing us.
How far out are you by that
Well,
point?
no, we're nowhere near the heads at this stage. And he's like, oh, this isn't working. Just get on board. So he gets us onto his boat, goes outside the heads. And he had this American girlfriend who was kind of flirting with my friend a little bit, and she had a bikini on that, and he's driving the boat looking back thinking, hang on, that's my girlfriend. And he says to us, boys, I'm going to Palm Beach now, which is like 15 k's north. You're either coming with us or you're getting out. And we're outside the heads, and my mate's like, I'm getting out. And he throws the little dinghy overboard, and we all just jump out, and we're out in the open ocean and all
you
the...
didn't go to Palm Beach? Why would you not go to Palm Beach?
It was so funny though, and like the Manly
dangerous.
ferries were coming past, and you'd go over a swell, and you'd see all the boats. Then you'd go down into the trough, and no one could see you, and we'd reappear, and so many boats almost hit us. But the whole Manly ferry gave us a standing ovation. They were all just cheering and clapping, going, "You guys are legends! I can't believe you're out here in the open."
That
ocean."
sounds really dangerous.
It is really dangerous, Phil, but it was very funny. It was one of those things you don't regret doing. But if you did it 3 years in a row, you might not survive it.
Never mind the sharks.
Just imagine the angels that are on patrol. Oh, Andy. Here he
It
goes.
was a funny day, and
He's
eventually
got his own squad.
Eventually, the water police came along and they were observing us for a while, just looking at us. They just couldn't believe we're out there. Then they said, "Get on," and they put us on board. Then they drove us all the way into the inner city of Sydney, and they all came out of the police station together and looked at this little 2-man dinghy, and they just shook their heads. They couldn't believe we
Did you
survived.
get in trouble?
There's no law against it. It was just,
suppose.
it was just
stupid.
An act of stupidity.
It was stupid, but it wasn't our fault. It was the dude with the boat
Well,
getting
was it?
jealous about his girlfriend.
Wasn't it, Andy? Well, look, Des.
Sorry to digress again. I'm digressing a
No,
lot
it's
today.
fun. It's been
Blame it
fun.
on the Melbourne trip.
No, it's fun. It's fun.
Love the Rise and Shine podcast? Tell a friend today.
Des, welcome to the studio, and do you have something on your heart for us today?
You know, it's lovely to be with you guys. It's really, really cool. I love what you guys do. And you probably don't get told that very often, but really, I mean, you're such a blessing to, Christians all around Australia. It's just fantastic what you do. And, I run this little podcast called Momentum Australia, and it's all about helping men to do life better. And one of the things that we've been focusing on, or about to focus on, is being authentic. There's so many men in our world who just are not authentic. They're not real men. They don't know how to be a real man. They haven't been taught how to be a real man. They probably had a very weak father figure. They maybe, had all sorts of trauma in their world when they were growing up. And so nobody taught them how to be a good dad or how to be a good husband or, how to steward finances properly or whatever that looks like in their world. Even things down to, and one of the most important one is how to be honest.
Yeah.
Tell the truth. It's not hard. But if you tell lies, you've got so many things you have to keep in your mind about what you've said in circumstances. Whereas if you're honest, it just comes naturally. You're relaxed. You're telling the truth. It's all cool. So, those sort of things, very fundamental things that guys can learn. Be upright. Serve others. Help others. Help lead others to the faith that you have. And they're just examples. Live healthy. There's
Wow, there's so many there, Des.
Yeah. I think we've got about 20 22 or 23 things that we're going to talk about. And each one of those might be 2 shows. So, the whole of next year is probably going to be, momentum being an authentic man.
It's all good stuff, isn't it, Phil? But why do you think people aren't authentic, Des? Because we live in a society which, to me, feels like it's not very authentic. Why is that, do you think?
Like, I think the Christian answer is sin, right? We try to make life easy for ourselves, and in doing that, we, tell a little fib here, and then we have to embellish it and tell a bigger fib, and so forth and so forth. And the trouble is, if you're doing that in isolation, that's okay. But if you're doing that in the context of a marriage or a business relationship, it's exponential. It affects everybody in that world, right? So you tell lies to your partner, that's going to affect her life, her quality of life, her self-esteem. All sorts of things affect her in that space. And then that affects the kids. And then it affects the kids' friends. And then that affects, how they go in life. So it's just one little thing done wrong has an exponential effect potentially.
It's interesting then, Des, and obviously you'll be unpacking this as you go through. This, it sounds like it's going to be a whole year on authentic men and momentum, but interesting to think, what's the other side of that? What is the solution, or what are you looking at to say, hey, there's actually a hope in this situation?
Well, I mean, I think if you look at your life, for me, I can only speak for me, but, having a strong faith, serving God, people talk about becoming a Christian, it's boring. It's, it's what you're losing out of life when you become a Christian. But, I'm here to tell guys, I became a Christian at 58. My life has never been fuller. There's nothing that I can't do. It may not be good for me, but there's nothing that somebody's come to me and said, hey, you can't do that. That's not part of, a true Christian faith. It's about what you can do, how you can help others, how you can sow into people's lives. And it's exciting to be able to do that. I mean, you guys know, it's amazing.
Yeah, well, it's such an encouraging testimony, Des, that you got saved at 58 and you're so excited about Jesus today, isn't it, Phil? Gee, we could talk to this guy all day, couldn't we, Phil?
We really could. And Des, we'll have to have you back to chat some more.
Anytime. I love talking to you guys.
But in the meantime, if people want to hear more, Momentum for Men is on Vision, through the Vision app.
Yeah, and lots of other radios. Your local Christian radio station, I'm sure, has Momentum. But also, all our podcasts are all online. If you go onto Spotify and search for Momentum Australia, you'll find us. We're on YouTube, we're on TikTok, we're everywhere.
Oh, and I just
can't get rid of us.
Well, I love the Irish accent, so that's enough for me to switch on. Wonderful.
That's right. I've got a good face for radio. I understand.
Des, thank you so much for coming in and encouraging us this morning.
All good.
Just the right mix of things to inspire and things to make you smile. Rise and shine on Vision.
So we are going to do the weather in Gordonvale in Queensland, just south the southern side of Cairns. What do you reckon Gordonvale is infamously famous for?
The southern side of Cairns.
They introduced something.
I'm going to say
that is not well liked.
Cane toads.
Cane toads.
Nailed
That's it. Well, I gave you a very big clue. 87.6 FM Vision's there, so they're sharing the light. But at one point, that was where the cane toad in 1835 was introduced in a failed attempt to control this native beetle. And a couple of beetles, actually. And then the cane toads, here they are now at my place.
And just for people who may be new to Australia, they were eating the sugar cane, weren't they? That's why they're called cane toads. So the beetles were eating the sugar cane. So, I mean, God bless the English, but they did some dumb things. They brought some creatures out here they should not have brought.
Who was looking at the cane toad going, you're the solution to our problems? Well, it's so ugly.
Well, let's look at the tail of the tape, Phil. They brought foxes, they brought rabbits, they brought pigs.
Rabbits are cute.
They brought deer. They brought so many feral pests, cats, and they're just wrecked the Australian environment.
Though, really?
Well, someone who thought the toad likes eating beetles. It kind of made sense.
This poisonous toad, you know where that needs to be. Send it to Australia. Anyway, Gordonvale, we love you. We're thankful for you. And your weather, 21 degrees. I mean, that's glorious. 29 degrees it's going to get up to during the day. Beautiful part of the world. It is stunning. Apart from those cane toads, but we can't blame Gordon. It wasn't their fault.
Well, they're everywhere now.
It's not their fault.
They've spread.
Have you got a verse for us, Andy?
I do. Psalm chapter 34, verse 2 says this: "My soul shall make its boast in the Lord, and the humble shall hear of it and be glad."
Praise God. was loud when those both were being made in the Lord.
Yes.
And you've got to tell your brain sometimes to do that. That's your soul, your mind, your will and emotions.
Stir it up.
Sometimes it doesn't want to do it.
That's right.
But you've got to get your spirit and say, no, you will. Mind, will, emotions, you
That's
will.
it.
Bless the Lord. You will praise God.
Yeah, you got to stir it up.
You got to stir it up.
Love it.
I've heard of all-day breakfast on the menu, but here's a brekkie show available 24/7. Thanks for streaming the Rise and Shine Daily Podcast.
Well, we are joined today by Brad Patterson. He's known as the shearing pastor, and on his Instagram feed, he will tell you he gives shearing clips and spiritual tips. So, Brad Patterson, we are looking for some spiritual tips today. Welcome again to Rise and Shine.
Oh, thanks for having me, Andy and Fel. It's great to be with you this morning.
I always love hearing your devotions, Brad, because there's normally a sheep element, and I don't think of them as being the best looking or the best behaved of animals. So it's an interesting one. Have you got a devotion for us today?
Yeah, for sure. And and this one really rings true of that exact point. Yeah, I want to talk from the scripture in Psalm 23 that says, "He restores my soul." And you know what that word actually, when you look at what that actually means for a shepherd, is when a shepherd looks out and sees all his sheep, he knows them by name, and if he sees that one's missing, he's generally really concerned, not just that it's lost, but that this sheep could be in a state known as a cast sheep. And a cast sheep is when a sheep is upside down. They're generally very fat. Their legs are in the air, and they cannot get back up, meaning they could die within hours. So the shepherd straight away goes, where is that sheep? It could be cast. So it runs and it looks, and when it finds the sheep, when it gets next to it and it picks it up, and that's actually the image of restoring its soul. It actually brings its life back and picks it up, and the sheep is restored to its feet and to the flock. And that's God's heart, is that people would be restored to their feet and to the flock. But you know, the thing about this devotion is that sheep cannot help itself. It cannot get out of that state. And I don't know about you, but I've been in situations brought upon by myself and my own choices where I feel like that sheep, I'm just in a place of helplessness, and it's only the good shepherd that can come and restore your soul. So I want to encourage our listeners this morning, no matter where you're at, no matter what you've done, no matter where you've been, there is a shepherd that will see you and wants to restore your soul, and his name is Jesus.
Gee, that's beautiful.
Brad Patterson, shearing pastor. I love having a sheep expert on the show because, I think the sheep, Brad, it's such a great illustration of just how hopeless we are without God. I mean, you say sometimes we end up in that situation with our feet up and back on the ground because of choices we made, but I actually believe if I don't read my Bible and pray for a few days, I'm hopeless. I'm on my back with my feet up in the air. I'm just hopeless, mate. I think all of us every day, don't we? We just need God just to do what we're supposed to do.
And even as a pastor, and I'm in full-time ministry at a church, and I'm the same. A few days without, the word and without good fellowship, and I know what it's like to be like that sheep and go, man, I just, we're all in this together. One of my mentors says, that life can be a struggle, but struggle well and look to Jesus. And so, I agree.
It's an interesting one as well. As you're talking, Brad, I'm thinking of the other role of a shepherd, which is your local church pastor, and how important it is to be plugged into a church, because they're also the hands and feet there, so that when you're cast, like you were mentioning, those car sheep on your back, legs in the air, help me. When you're plugged into a local church, the pastor can have such a vital role in helping to turn you back around and getting you up and healthy and going again as well.
Yeah, and that's why I love that, the restored to the feet and to the flock. And I think that is so important, because when you're back in that flock, we know that for sheep, they're in a place of protection, they're in a place of feeding. And so when you get into a local healthy church where you've got that protection, you're less vulnerable to the attacks of the enemy, but also being that cast sheep out there that needs that help.
Brad, that is so well put. I just love that imagery, really, of when you're restored back in, but in that fellowship with the church. There is that protection, isn't there, that comes as being part of a bigger flock. How do you find that as a pastor? It's a big responsibility.
Yeah, it is. And but there is that protection, as you say. It is a big responsibility, and not something that we take lightly. No. But it definitely makes a difference for people's lives. And, I see people, we all go through adversity, whether we're a Christian or not, and it doesn't disqualify us from them hard times. But what I see most often is people that are connected, that have those friends they can call in the middle of the night, when all hell is breaking loose in their life, they go through them trials and challenges a lot differently than people that are on their own out there like that lost sheep, for sure.
Yeah, and like you said, mate, we've got Jesus and he's our good shepherd and he's with us in the high times, in the low times, all through our lives. And so encouraging just to think that I've got a shepherd that even if I end up on my back, on my feet in the air and I don't know what to do, you know, we've got this Lord with us who puts us back on our feet. What a great, I've never heard that before.
Brilliant.
Paul Brady, I've never heard it before, mate. But who else to have brought such a message except the shearing pastor himself, Brad Patterson? Brad, if people already fall in love with you just from today's devotion alone, how should they find you if they want to look you up?
Yeah, on Instagram and Facebook, the shearing pastor, and at Kalamunda Church of Christ in the Perth Hills of Western Australia. Or everyone's welcome, and you can follow me there and for more shearing clips and spiritual tips. And it's going to be amped up next month. I've got some fresh content coming and some, a bit more of stuff that I think the listeners are going to love. So looking forward to that.
Brilliant. Well, Brad, we love it when you join us here on Rise and Shine. I'll have you back in a couple of weeks.
Fantastic. Love to. Sounds great.
Subscribe and listen to the Rise and Shine podcast in the free Vision app. It's easy and available everywhere.
Across the country, there's a new movie, a documentary that's been launched, and the Vision team have been travelling the country. Andy, you're here back with me, but you've been out and about on location throughout the week.
I've been here, there and everywhere, Fel. I was in Canberra and then Melbourne for the premiere of the first hymn. Also went to the Brisbane release as well, and a really enjoyable experience, especially seeing the reaction of the crowd after they see this documentary about an 1800-year-old hymn.
Well, that's right. So if you haven't heard the story, they found a parchment. It had a little piece of a hymn, some music, and also the lyrics. And now Chris Tomlin and Ben Fielding and a bunch of other people have worked together to put it into a song, which is incredible, the first hymn. And this is the documentary about that process. It's launching across the country, and there is still tonight in Perth, Darwin, and then there's going to be Hobart as well coming up. If you're in those locations and you want to get along to one of these premiere events, you can get those details at thefirsthymnmovie.com. But I can see on the line I've got Tanya waiting, who I know went along. So we might get a bit of a review here. Tanya, how are you this morning?
Yeah, a bit tired. Feeling for you guys.
Now
feeling for Andy, actually, because he's had some late nights, hasn't he, and early morning?
He has had some late nights thanks to a bit of theatre going, seeing the first hymn movie. But you've had a late night because you were up watching it last night in Adelaide. How'd it go?
Yes. Yeah, it was really amazing. Really, really amazing. It's I just thought, what's the best word? It was just fascinating to get all the insight into the background on the song, you know. Like I learnt some things about musicality last night that I was just fascinated with, about notation and some of the ancient notations. And, it was just so good. And, in fact, I dreamt, I woke from time to time during the night and the song was in my head all night long.
There you go.
So I woke with it on my heart this morning as well, and I just thought, wow, that's a good song when a song does that to you. So
actually, that's pretty special. There are some songs, don't you think, Tanya, that I reckon are played in heaven. Like they've actually come from heaven and we will be singing them together in heaven. Like Amazing Grace is one of those. Is this one of those songs for you that you're like, I can see heaven in this piece?
I think so. I think there's echoes through the ages. It, it has that real sense. I know when I was playing it a couple of days ago, I was actually musically playing it on the keyboard and singing it. Yeah. I couldn't get through the entire thing. I thought, gee, I hope they don't call the singers or performers, because I thought I'm going to be a bit lost. So I'm going to have to get somebody who can back me when I break down, because I found I could not get through the song once without weeping. I just thought, I felt this sense of the ages, like all that time ago. Along these lines, these words were being sung, and wow, what a legacy that's been, it's such a precious little legacy that's been found. Amazing, just incredible.
It gives you a sense of eternity, doesn't it? That those Christians, they're in heaven right now, still singing the song, and here we are, we're singing it 1,800 years later. Yeah. There's a longevity to life that we don't really get much of a glimpse of during our own lifetimes.
Exactly. And, I wonder, because, I get a sense that when we go to heaven, the things of this earth are literally going to fade. We're not going to think about anything really other than where we are. But I just wonder if God just gives them a little, here, I want to show you what's going on right now on earth with that song that you wrote. This is how precious that song was to me. And, it's just incredible, hey?
Hey, it is.
So,
Praise God. Well, we're going to let you go and have a nap. I think that sounds. Andy needs a nap. Might be a few naps happening across Australia today.
If only.
Yeah, that's right. No time for naps and school holidays. Tanya, thank you for having a chat this morning.
You're welcome.
Brought to you by the generosity of Vision family members across Australia and around the world. The Rise and Shine podcast.
Yesterday, it was Greg Newman's turn to represent Vision.
Jets setting all the way to Adelaide to go and be part of that premiere.
Look, and behind the scenes, we've heard there was a bit of a hiccup in getting him there.
Well, on the line, Fel, we have our roving reporter, Greg Newman, who travelled all the way to Adelaide for the premiere of the first Him movie last night. With an update now, Greg Newman joins us. Greg, welcome to Rise and Shine.
Thank you very much. Great to be a part of Rise and Shine. Yes, in Adelaide yesterday. I don't know if you guys heard about the hiccup, but didn't get on the flight.
Talk us through the hiccup, Greggy. What happened, mate? Who do we blame? Whose head needs to roll?
Okay, look, I'm not going to go into the full story, but unable. No, I was there on time, but a bit of a hiccup, so I couldn't get on the Jetstar flight. But
what happened?
I got on a Virgin flight a little bit later, and I thought, you know what, this is perfect because yesterday marked the 25th anniversary of the first flight that Virgin took off in Brisbane. And I was on that famous flight with Richard Branson and 100 celebrities. I was working for a radio station at the time.
Yep.
Yeah, and I was telling them even on board, I said, hey, it's your 25th birthday. Oh, yeah, that is too. You'd think that they would get it on the intercom. By the way, no, we are now landing in Adelaide. Please change your clocks. What about, hey, 25 years ago. In fact, we got Greg Newman on board. He was there with Richard Branson, and that's true. In fact, I remember being on board the flight, and Sir Richard, looked across at me and said, oh, gee, you look like you're airsick, I said, I would be if I went up in one of those balloons like you do. I said, no, I've just got a really, really bad headache. I had a really bad headache, and I didn't bring my glasses. In fact, I'll tell you another story, and we're supposed to be talking about the first Him, which is on tonight.
Well, we're talking about the first flight of the Virgin plane. I'm quite interested, actually.
I know. So I'm sure. So because I didn't have my glasses for long distance, I'm just trying to find out where we're supposed to go to. It's a bit like yesterday. This is the trouble when I get to airports. I don't know where I'm going to. And there was everyone's out there on the tarmac getting a photo taken, and I'm waving. And then I realised, no, this is only meant to be for Virgin staff. So I reckon in their photos, there's in the background. Who is that? He's not about to.
Let me go, Greggy. You've told us a little bit of a story. We want to know a full story. What happened to the Jetstar flight? What happened?
Okay. No.
Yeah, we have to know
in a nutshell.
I was trying to book in. I was going to the app and everything else to try and do that. I missed a little booth downstairs. There was another guy. It was very similar, and we thought we'll just book in upstairs. That's all right. I got the flight, the booking number. There's my name. And even then I'm saying, look, see, you can see there's my seat. And have you got identification? Yes. Oh, no, you've got to book down. If I book downstairs, madam, I'm going to miss the flight. So they wouldn't let me on. So I can't believe in 2025.
User error. Was it then I'm hearing, Greg?
Access denied. Anyway,
like thank you to Virgin, we got there. Now that we've run out of time, we can't even talk about the first Him.
Okay.
Have I got enough? 60 seconds.
You've got 60 seconds. What did you think?
Okay, it was a great night, and look, what was wonderful. Go and see the film tonight. For those, a lot of people have seen the film anyway, but it's on tonight in Perth. Jen Spiker will be there along with the Professor John, and what's his last name again?
John Dixon. Professor John
Dixon. Oh, yeah. He was great. He's sort of the one that sort of put the documentary together. But what was great was catching up with some of our Adelaide listeners. It was just wonderful. People coming up saying they listened to Vision, and they were all excited because they had some rain, because Adelaide's been desperate for rain, so they're starting to get a bit of rain of late. And thank you to our wonderful ambassadors too. I caught up with Harry, Harold and Helen, and also Tanya. And then afterwards, late at night, we went out and had some kebabs and had a great time.
Oh, wow.
The old late night Lansing, hey?
There you go.
Well, they were starving, so that was great. So really appreciate our ambassadors in various states of Australia and our listeners for being there. So that was just wonderful to catch up with people. There's a snapshot tonight in Perth.
Great. Yeah, Phil, just to clarify, the late night lantern is the kebab because at night they lead you home. You hold them out like a lantern, it leads you home.
Well, I think it was I don't know if it was kebabs. What is it, Kairos or something? What are they?
Oh,
It's one of those.
Cheeros, yeah. Greg,
Yeah,
that is a
yeah,
great
yeah.
snapshot of your day yesterday. What an exciting day, hey? Access denied
No,
on the
it wasn't.
Jetstar flight.
No,
Virgin didn't deny you. They let you on the plane, and it was a 25-year anniversary. I was on a Virgin plane yesterday too. No mention of the 25-year anniversary. Very disappointing,
really?
Greg. I wish I'd known. I would have reminded them as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think they were really too concerned. They were too concerned about just the normal announcements. So, 25 years, it was a great time. Marsha Hines, Tanya Zayeto, all those people were on board, and Natalie Imbruglia was the special guest. And I love the announcement. Here's one more little story, and I keep on talking. I love the announcement on that first flight where there was an announcement came over and said, would that guy that's walking up and down the aisle acting as if he owns the airline, please sit down.
And that was Richard Branson.
Yeah, that was Richard Branson.
That's funny.
So that's it. I've taken up too much of your valuable time, but what a great being on Rise and Shine. Wow. But I'll be on this afternoon.
Is it as good as being on a plane with Richard Branson, Greggy? Can we compare the two, being on Rise and Shine?
You'll be talking about this for history, won't you? There? The day I was on Rise and Shine?
No, he was a friendly fella, yeah.
Does this go in the diary today, though?
Yes, exactly. Well, Helen and Harold said, we'll probably get a mention in 12 months' time in your diary now. I said, yes, you probably will. Yes, I'm sure.
We'll check in 12 months just to be sure.
Yeah.
Greg, thank you.
Great night last night, but a very stressful afternoon. But I got on the flight and we made it.
Yep.
Brilliant. Greg, love it. We'll look forward to hearing, I'm sure, some more tales from the trip this afternoon when you bring us our Vision Afternoons.
Okay. Thanks
Greg.
guys.
Oh, there you go. Well, look, it's a bit of a who's who of Vision this morning.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Are you telling me Vision's breakfast show is now available around the clock and on demand? Incredible! The Rise and Shine podcast. Rise and Shine.
We've got Warren on the line. Warren, what would you stay up for?
I think the best is actually be lunar eclipse or meteor showers.
Oh, now look, that is a good answer.
Mm.
I agree, Warren. I would stay up for that. Not till like 2 a.m. or something. Would you stay up all night for that?
Oh, yes.
You would?
If I know I didn't have to work, yes, I would.
If you didn't have to work.
Well, when was the last time there was one of those events, Warren?
That's a good... I think there's a lunar eclipse a couple of years ago.
Did you stay up for that?
Yes.
Oh, well
there
done.
you go.
And was it worth it?
Oh, it's always worth it.
Okay.
I particularly like them when they're at a good time of the day. Like there was at one point a comet that was coming across Queensland. And I remember we went up to Mount Tamborine and it was there for a week, so you had plenty of scope. But also it was about 7 to 8 p.m. And I thought, what a convenient comet.
That's doable.
That's a great time.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Comet.
Yeah, it was. We took some dinner up there. It was very civilised, wasn't it? It wasn't Haley's. It was a little bit, I can't remember what it was. But it was, the kids were small, but we just bundled them up and got, I was like, this is a very convenient time. Well done, space.
And so what was the highlight for you staying up all night to watch that event a couple of years ago?
Able to spend time with the family as well.
Oh, so you all stayed up?
Oh, we all stayed up.
Oh, that's cool.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
Oh, well, lovely.
Some under protest, but once it actually started happening, they stayed awake.
They stayed up. There you go. Well, Warren, thank you so much for giving us a buzz. And you've inspired me. Maybe next time we'll do Rise and Shine from a comet. If there's a comet or no, I don't think I'm going to stay up. Let's be honest. Thanks, Warren.
No worries, guys. God bless.
Oh, there you go. That's Warren's idea. He'd stay up for a comet.
I think I would too if I knew there was one coming.
If it was like a once in a lifetime.
Yeah.
I'm thankful because the things I've stayed, like the space stuff, Murray's into space, my husband, it all seems to be at good hours of the night, like 7, 8 p.m. There's been things I'm like, I can stay up for that.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure 2 a.m., I don't think I would.
It's pretty late.
I need something pretty special now to keep me, especially breakfast radio when you're up so early.
Yep.
None of you outsleep. Maybe that's I'm getting old.
Yep.
No, you don't agree with that.
I am agreeing. I'm just listening. I'm processing, thinking, I don't know about me getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning either. What's your comment?
No, we don't do that anymore.
I've heard of all-day breakfast on the menu, but here's a brekkie show available 24/7. Thanks for streaming the Rise and Shine Daily Podcast.
Tonight, you could still get yourself along to the first Him movie if you wanted to go to that premiere event. Jen Spiker will be there from the Vision team, and there are still tickets. So there you go. If you're wondering, what shall I do tonight? That's what you should be doing.
Well, can I say it's worth going?
There you go. And
I've been there 3 times now, and it is an excellent production. It really is good movie /
We've heard
documentary.
such good things. So there you go, Perth. There's your weather. It looks like great movie watching weather, certainly by tonight. Andy, verse.
Yes, verse chapter 34 or Psalm 34, and it says in verse 8, "Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the man who trusts in him."
Isn't that good? Like, it's very tactile.
Yes.
Taste. There's physical benefits as a result of your trust in God.
Yeah. There's nothing like it.
There's nothing like it.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. This morning we were encouraged with that when Brad Patterson, the shearing pastor, joined us. He always brings a devotion around sheep, which I love.
He does.
I know it's pretty smelly. I've been watching some sheep, actually. I'm watching this farm
You've
thing
been
at the moment.
observing them, have you, Phil?
I've been fascinated by these creatures.
Have you seen how dumb they are?
Yes.
They are so dumb.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And yet here's Brad Patterson, the shearing pastor, always comparing us to them. Thanks, Brad.
Well, that's what God says about us, Phil. And you know what? And the sooner we realise that, the better off we are. When we realise we're dumb, we realise we need to learn His Word to get a bit of wisdom.
Amen.
Rise and shine on Vision Christian Radio.
Pulling himself into the office after a bit of a sleep-in.
After a big night of celebrating.
Because of this. I promise that's the last time I'm playing that today.
That brings back some great memories. So to answer your question earlier, Andy, that's Billy Moore.
That's right.
So Billy Moore was
someone would know
the player that was running out, and it was an iconic night.
Well, they weren't supposed to win, were they,
No.
from memory? Why were they such underdogs? I'm trying to remember.
Well, I think Queensland actually likes being underdogs, so sometimes they actually create that narrative
Oh, really?
for themselves. But I can't remember exactly what was going on. It might have been that, there was people injured or whatever. But, they were basically written off. You're never going to win.
Yeah.
And so they were just pumping themselves up, and it did the trick. So
It seems to work a lot, Robbo.
Yeah.
And you were so excited you couldn't sleep.
And that's not unlike me. I mean, I'm a night owl, so I sort of get my second win. But yes, I mean, obviously, you had a fizzy drink last night, and
Ginger beer. That's Robbo's drink.
Actually, it was Sprite. They didn't
Sprite.
have
They
ginger
didn't
beer.
have ginger beer.
Where I was eating last night, so Sprite it was. But had a Sprite, and so that kind of was enough to get me on. And but that's not uncommon. I do get that second wind, and I just.
Okay, so what's your highlight of the game? Like, is it a player who played really well, or a certain play, or a certain try that was scored? What?
Well, I don't think I couldn't really identify. Well, couple. There was the debutant, Shibasaki. He played really well on debut. But I think just the fact that the Queensland, they had 100% completion up until like about 10 minutes to go. Like it was just unheard of.
It is.
I think they had like 2 handling errors in the last 10 or 15 minutes. But just that's amazing. And so really to play like that, you would expect to win, I guess, because you're not making any mistakes. You're completing all your sets. It's just,
mistake-free football. And, I mean, how good's that new halfback? I do like him. I just love seeing young guys just play to their best, just do their best. He's just blitzing
he's a cowboy as well, so he's like doubly good.
There you go. But it is good. I find it really interesting, Rob, how some guys, you get to that level and they just can't perform. Maybe the crowd or the event, and then some just rise on that occasion. And he's just rising, is he, on those big occasions?
Yeah, and Cam Munster as well. I mean, Cam obviously, with all that was going on in the days leading up, just to be able to hit his straps on the night was amazing. And obviously the team was rallying around him, which was really lovely to see. I mean, there was lots of different levels actually for last night. I mean, that was all going on as well. And so just to see it all come together, was very special. Obviously, being a Queenslander myself, I'm feeling pretty proud this morning.
The Rise and Shine podcast.
Time for us to hand over to the rest of the Vision crew. We'll be back bright and early for our Friday show tomorrow.
Thanks for taking time to listen to this audio on demand from Vision Christian Media. To find out more about us, go to vision.org.au.